I understand that as of right now, of course, the price of ZBCN isn't doing the best. But you know what? Zebec recently mentioned something regarding a big announcement. And this is even a post they made themselves, right? When it comes to a post they made on X. Now they're talking about how there's, I think, at least to my understanding, a major US payments integration coming next week. Again, they say this. And more specifically, above the post, they stay tuned. Why do I find it pretty interesting? Well, it's because during a time like this where there really isn't that much going on, when a lot of projects out there, the way you take a look at it, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, again, a lot of projects that I see out there, it felt like they gave up, right? It felt like they don't really care about it anymore. However, this one, it still seems like they're caring. So I do like this. Now, what exactly will this be? Who knows? I mean, it's all kind of just speculation at this point because, I mean, again, they haven't announced it, right? They're just saying that there's going to be something coming next week, but still, I'm very excited nonetheless. And they say it's a big announcement, but how do I feel about it? You know, I'll take them for their word, I guess, when it comes to this, but I'll have to wait and see. This kind of reminds me of a lot of people commenting on, kind of me as of late. And I want to show you what I mean, right? Because back in January, I'm going to show a picture of me right there. And this is me right now, of course, right? And a lot of people say, oh, what have you been doing? Have you been working out and all this type of stuff? Now, personally, for me, I've been controlling kind of my portions, right? When I'm eating. And also on top of that, I've been doing a lot of cardio, like just the ones that I oftentimes do in my room, or sometimes I just run outside or something like that. Just to kind of, have a little bit of a fresh start, I guess. This is just personally. And again, that's me back in January, and those are for the ones that might know, again, who watched my videos back then. But yeah, besides that point, I just want to mention that real quick. Kind of reminds me of this a little bit. I mean, I guess not really, but I just wanted to mention that because a lot of people have been asking what I've been doing, right? Have I been doing a lot of cardio or something like that? And to a certain extent, kind of yeah. But again, that's just the way I take a look at it. Now, besides that point, when I take a look at, for instance, why do I think this could be pretty cool? Because if we take a look at something like Zebec, keep in mind, the price of ZBCN clearly is not doing the best, right? It's around a 30x hypothetically to go to 10 cents. But still, they're doing this type of stuff when it comes to Zebec. It, I think, kind of showcases to me that they don't really care too much about the price when it comes to what they're doing in terms of trying to improve their fundamentals. And I do like seeing that when it comes to a project. But even beyond that as well, if let's say, they do, announce this announcement, right, coming next week, is it really just going to make the price hypothetically do this or do that? If the altcoin space isn't doing the best, I don't think it's going to have such a big impact, actually, in my opinion. But then this type of stuff right here, it kind of plays into the narrative, I think, if let's say there is an altcoin season. So I don't think it's such a bad thing at the end of the day. And my kind of perspective is this. If I take a look at ZBCN as of right now, I'm totally aware that, again, the price isn't doing the best. But if I liked ZBCN back then, when 10 cents was around an 11x from here, and I also liked ZBCN when 10 cents was around a 20x, a 25x, why would I suddenly, hypothetically, not like it anymore now that it's around a 30x from here? Now, granted, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and in theory, things could always maybe go lower because, again, altcoins are not doing the best as of right now. But in my perspective, if something that I liked before was actually around like a 2x or hypothetically around a 3x from where it is as of right now, and I liked it back then, and now I suddenly don't like it, that they're even still continuing to build fundamentally, it seems like, and now even planning to do a big announcement, allegedly, according to them. And this is on top of what they've done with Algorand, on top of what they're doing with the Zebec cards, on top of what they're doing with payrolls, AI-based PayFi, RWAs, or should I say real-world assets. With all that, and now the price is not doing the best, I suddenly don't like it. Personally, for me, it just makes kind of no sense in my case. So, yeah, I just don't want to give up. Keep in mind, when it comes to Zebec, they don't have to do this type of stuff, right? This is not stuff that people, I think, are often, kind of saying, oh yeah, we need Zebec to improve better. A lot of people are not really saying that at all. But Zebec is still doing this nonetheless. And I think that actually, even though the price of ZBCN is way lower than what it was not too long ago, I think that fundamentally, I would say that it's actually better than when it was back then. I really do believe that because we have to think about this, right? what was the big narrative for ZBCN back then? First of all, there wasn't even an altcoin season, and second of all, what was there really to look at fundamentally? You know what I mean? I don't think there was that much. Like, for instance, of course, Zebec always had that kind of focus on payments, global trade, and finance. But ever since then, their fundamentals, it feels like they're still trying to improve. So actually, back then, yeah, sure, Zebec had that core focus, but it wasn't really as kind of developed, I feel like, when compared to right now. So if ZBCN was able to do that back then, really without much fundamentally, in my opinion, without even an altcoin season, now that there's a pullback that the fundamentals actually became better, I suddenly just want to give up on that. I personally don't have that type of mindset, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything. Because even in my point of view, right, again, sometimes you have to say this announcement isn't really going to do anything to the price. Well, yeah, maybe, because if there is an altcoin season, especially if altcoins, let's say don't have such a good time, let's say the altcoin sentiment isn't good at that point, like this wouldn't really do much. But still, at the end of the day, I feel like this type of stuff is really going to kind of play into the narrative moving forward if, let's say, the markets do become better when it comes to altcoins. It's like, for instance, having a good resume, right? Having a good track record. Sometimes that type of stuff does matter, in my opinion. So when I take a look at something like this, I do like it because sometimes during an altcoin season, people sometimes take a look back at a project that didn't give up, that still did things when the market wasn't necessarily doing the best. So I like what Zebec is doing here. Their approach, it feels like it's a little bit more evergreen, right? When I talk about evergreen content, it's like about something that is not trendy. It's more so kind of like something that has longevity. It's like, for instance, how to change the battery on a key fob. Like that right there is kind of like hypothetically more evergreen content, right? Where it's not based on a trend. It's not based on something that is just kind of the it thing. It's going to be something that people, are just constantly, in some cases, wanting to look for, right? If they do need to do that, right? Change the battery on a key fob, for instance. But yeah, besides that point, this feels a little bit more evergreen, what Zebec is doing in terms of the market of payments and global trade and finance. Like that right there is also, I think, hypothetically an evergreen type of market, because that right there was, something people talked about many, many decades ago. And it's still even talked about as of right now. And moving forward, if people still talk about it, wouldn't necessarily surprise me either. Now, of course, Zebec is bringing a new kind of, I would say, twist to it, in a sense where if we take a look at this blockchain space and all this type of stuff, but still, just that general market of payments, global trade finance, and also payrolls, I would say, it was kind of a big narrative back then. And as of right now, people still do talk about it. It's a little bit different than other projects out there. They're focused on something kind of trendy or something that's kind of the it thing. Who knows if it's going to be a narrative like a month later or 2 months later or a year later, right? We just don't know. So I do like what Zebec is doing. I like their approach. However, ultimately, when it comes to this announcement, I'll talk about it when they do release it, but I still like it. Nonetheless, I like how they're still putting effort at a time when the market isn't necessarily doing the best when it comes to altcoins. But still, I just like what they're doing overall, and I like their approach that they're taking. And just, yeah, I haven't given up, because the way you take a look at it is that I like the Solana aspect a lot. I like how allegedly something like Circle holds a significant amount of ZBCN. Circle is the creator of USDC, and also Solana Ventures is even a backer when it comes to Zebec. So yeah, just overall, I haven't given up. I get it. The altcoin space isn't doing the best, but what am I going to do? Just randomly not believe in projects every single time there's a pullback? No, I mean, I'm not going to do that. Now, it's not to say that I do that with every single project, but I'm doing that for the projects that I am a fan of fundamentally. But yeah, just ultimately, I haven't given up, and I still like seeing news when it comes to this, when it comes to kind of the announcement that they plan to make. So yeah, I'm going to stay tuned for that, and that's pretty much it. So I want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a nice day. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch you all in the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.